welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at The Little Mermaid. So this is the 1989 original animated Little Mermaid. Loosely, very loosely, based on the Hans Christian Andersen tale. You can check that out probably Monday. It's already been filmed. So, it's very, very loosely based on the Little Mermaid of Hans Christian Andersen. Basically, the things that are in common is there's a little mermaid. She's a teenager. She makes a deal with a sea witch to become human. And interacts with a prince that she thinks she's in love with. That's about it. She has a father. She has sisters. Though I think the sisters might be the same. I think she has 5 in this, and I think she has 5. And she's the youngest of 6. As far as I know, none of them have names in the original tale, including the Little Mermaid. And she lives. Okay. Now, there's a lot of criticism about this story. Now, what mostly with this area, you have Ariel, who is in fact a little mermaid. She's, I think, about 16. She wants to be human. She is obsessed with going through human shipwrecks, which is oddly enough the exact opposite of the book. She has little to no interest in human stuff in the book. So the movie Ariel is obsessed. She has an entire grotto, basically, open kind of cave thing filled with human stuff. She is friends with Flounder, who is a fish. I do not believe he's an actual flounder. Otherwise, that would be very, very weird. In part because if you're not familiar with flounder, yes, they look like a normal fish when they're little, but then because they pretty much live on the bottom of the ocean, flat, their eye moves. So it's on top of so they're close together on top of one side. So it's very, very weird. So hopefully flounder, as in this creature, is not an actual flounder. Not to mention they're not very pretty looking creatures in real life. So she is obsessed. So she has her best friend Flounder, who is obviously some kind of fish. She has Sebastian, who's right here, who's her father's composer. So he's the one who leads the orchestras and the singing, and she has a beautiful voice. And she wants to be human. I mean, that is her goal. The criticism is she gives everything up for a boy. No. She has her first song before she even sees Eric, where she wants to be human. She wants legs. She wants to walk. She wants to dance. She feels that swimming doesn't get her far. She wants to grow up. And what happens is she goes up to the surface. She sees Eric's ship. She sees him. She kind of falls in love with him. And she rescues him because his ship is put down in a storm. Her father finds out. He destroys her grotto. He destroys her, basically the place that she loves. He destroys all of her most valued possessions, everything that she loves, in a blind rage. He destroys everything. And becomes kind of a monster in many ways. So, like most teenagers, whose father goes completely berserk because she's interested in a boy who's different and wants to grow up. And this is here. It's not just the boy. She wants to grow up. She wants to go someplace else. She wants to escape his constant control and his probably hovering over her. So she goes to Ursula, the sea witch, who makes a deal. Now, I can't remember the original song. In the original book, the sea witch is like, you don't want to do this. You really do not want to do this. This is not a good idea. Go home. You don't want to do this. Mind you, in the original story, she wants a human soul, not necessarily, again, the human, or to be human. She just wants a human soul, because she doesn't have one, and she turns to sea foam when she dies after 300 years. That's what happens to mermaids. The love of Hans Christian Andersen and the Christianity of the time, where animals, which is what Ariel would be considered, do not have souls. I have a sleeping cat in my lap. And if humans have souls, as far as I'm concerned, so does my cat. But moving on. Ursula has her big song moment, which is literally based off a drag queen by name of Divine. That is how the character is. That is where she comes from. That's where the idea of her design comes from, and her mannerisms. She's a drag queen. 8 o'clock at night. Long day with the kid. So, nonetheless, she takes Ariel's voice, and now she is given 3 days to get him to fall in love with her. In the original story, there is no time limit. He just can't get married. If he doesn't marry someone if he marries someone other than the Little Mermaid, because again, she doesn't have a name, upon the next sunrise, she turns to sea foam. So, in this, she has 3 days, and if she doesn't do it, she pretty much becomes enslaved to Ursula and turns into some sort of weird green sea thing. Green sea worm of creature. Of things. So Ariel loses her voice. She gets legs. And as opposed to, in the original tale where her getting her legs and even walking causes her tremendous amount of pain, like she's walking on knives, it does not do that. She tries to romance him, but Ursula is interfering. She sends her eels to prevent him from kissing her, and then when she realizes that Eric is actually falling for Ariel, she uses magic to transform herself into a human by the name of Vanessa, who carries Ariel's voice and uses her voice to entrance Eric and uses magic. And they're going to be getting married. But Scuttle, who is a seabird and friend of Ariel's, along with a bunch of his friends, attack her on the wedding day and break the necklace, give Ariel her voice back, but it's too late. The sun is rising, and Eric hasn't given his love for Ariel, so Ariel's father shows up. He takes her place, and Ursula gets his crown and his trident, which is what she wants, and she turns into a giant monster that is then destroyed by Eric in a ship. And then, of course, he survives. I won't be surprised if Ariel or other mermaids save him, and Ariel's still stuck with her tail. And you have her sitting on the rocks staring at him as he stares out to sea looking for her. And her father finally comes to terms that he has to let his daughter grow up and uses his magic to give her legs. And you have the iconic scene of her walking out of the water in a very skimpy, very shiny dress. And then they get married at the end. And she still loves her family. She still loves by the sea. She still sees them. And everybody lives happily ever after. Now, in the original story, she either dies and turns into sea foam because she refuses to kill the prince because her sisters get their hair cut off, and to get a knife so she can kill him and then get her tail back. though in this version that I run, which I think he rewrote, she becomes a daughter of the air, where she can do good deeds. In 300 years she can earn a soul, because again, that's what she wanted in the original tale. She wanted a soul, not the boy, a human soul. In this case, Ariel wants to be human. Eric's was a means to an end, and she does love him, but again, she wanted to be human. She likes dancing and shoes and horseback riding. And yes, I've read more books on this. My daughter's obsessed. So this is a good film. The music is fabulous, because of course it is. This was the very start of the Disney Renaissance. This was the start of a formula that you still see today in Disney films, where they follow the typical formula of a Broadway musical, where you almost have an introduction song, which introduces the world. You have our main character, who has Howard Ashman, who was the guy who created this, an I Am song that tells you, Ariel tells you exactly who she is and what she wants. She wants to be human. This is before she meets Ariel. The villain has their own song, which tells you what they are. And she's just a controlling monster who wants power and Ariel's voice. So, but she really wants the Triton. She wants the power of Ariel's father, Triton, who apparently is the son of Neptune in mythology. And yes, there's a cat in my lap. So this is a wonderful film. Obviously, it's a Disney family film. It was the last one that was shot with individual slides and individual sketches. So they moved on from that. And it was the first time that Disney animation, a lot of money was put into it. It took something off a fairy tale in a while, and it brought Disney's animation studios back from the brink and ushered in the Disney Renaissance, which is roughly considered The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, which came after, which I've already discussed, and The Lion King, Pocahontas, Mulan. There may be a few more in there. I think Hercules is considered part of Disney Renaissance. And they had a quiet time where they didn't do much before they came out with Tangled. And then they did Frozen. And then Moana. And now they're back to having... And now they're doing live action remakes. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But again, fantastic film. One of my husband's favorites. He actually, The Little Mermaid is his favorite Disney film. So, that is it for this review. Remember, Little Mermaid is not about a spoiled teenager getting her way. She's about a young girl who wants to grow up, who doesn't necessarily do everything for a boy. She just wants legs. She wants legs and to be human. So it is an interesting tale. And a great film, particularly if you're studying Disney, if you're studying mermaids, if you're looking at the difference between the original Hans Christian Andersen tale, which is depressing, and The Little Mermaid. Not to mention, I am going to be covering The Little Mermaid 2, the live action, and I already covered this, the live action fairy tale from Shelley Duvall's Fairy Tale Theater, which came out in 1987. So check that. That will be coming out near the end of the month. If you want to check out my opinions on that already, I already did the Snow Queen. Kendra, don't attack, thanks. The Little Mermaid is a better rendition. The Snow Queen is weird. Check that video out. And I've already done Frozen 2. I did the Snow Queen. That was in January. I did the Lion King already in February. I've already done the Princess and the Frog. I've done Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast. I did Brave last month, so you can check all of those out, all with various different African tales and Snow Queen related tales, and I'm doing a whole bunch of mermaid stuff. So we're doing the live action, we're doing Little Mermaid 2, and then we're doing the Shelley Duvall fairy tale theater rendition, along with a couple of other books, along with the original tale and a few other things. So, like and subscribe. Leave a positive comment if you have one. Check out Mermaids this month of April, though I'm shooting this in February. And we'll be covering Mulan next month. Thank you.